What's up, guys? It is Joe. We're back. We're talking ball about the Cats. Turns out I lied in the last video, and I'm actually going to be in Kansas City and Hutch in some combination of vice versa. I'm going to be in some combination of both here over the next month, so you won't see the green room for a little bit. But everything's good on my end. I'm still good. We're just kind of going through the motions of figuring out what steps are next when we move back. So that's the quick caveat about the background behind me. Today's video is going to be talking about our loyal Prince Avery Johnson, a dude that has absolutely gotten the hype for the player he deserves to be, for the player he is. And I just kind of want to go back because there's a story that released from 24/7 Sports this week that highlighted some important praise about Avery Johnson, and I wanted to discuss it. Before I do, let me remind you, be sure and hit the subscribe button. We're closing in on 3,000 subs. Once we cross that threshold, I'm getting a cat script tattoo on the left thigh, so be sure and subscribe. It does help out, and I'm ready to get this thing done, so I'm excited to see that come to life. That being said, let me give you the basis here. This is a story written by 24/7 Sports' Brad Crawford. He does some great work for 24/7 Sports across college football and across the college football landscape as a whole. And he wrote a list highlighting 8 players that are the best players in college football to turn down the transfer portal. Guys that said, you know what, I know there's money out there, I know there's opportunity out there, I'm staying where I'm at, I'm seeing this thing through. And conveniently enough, the best player on Brad Crawford's list, the first player mentioned, it's probably just alphabetical, but the best player listed, the first player listed, however you want to say it, Avery was the first player mentioned in the entire list. One of the best players in college football to turn down the transfer portal. I'm taking it to mean he's the best player in college football to turn down the transfer portal. And this is what Crawford had to say about him. Avery Johnson could have jumped ship for QB1 laurels at other Power 4 programs, but it didn't happen. Instead, he brings his 32 total touchdowns and more than 3,317 yards of total offense back to the Wildcats in hopes of making a deep run to the Big 12. Johnson's first year at Kansas State as a starting quarterback was marred by 3 losses over his final 5 starts, but the expectations are high heading into 2025. That's the thing. Let's talk about Avery, because I don't know if this guy, we as K-State fans talk about him enough. I don't know that the general masses in college media or college football as a whole understand what this kid is doing by staying in Manhattan. Let me put this out there for you. The team underwhelmed in his first year as a starter. Obviously, he still finished 9-4. It's a pretty damn good season by everybody else's standards. For Kansas State, the expectations are higher, so they underwhelmed. Avery Johnson didn't waver, stayed at Kansas State. This will be his 3rd straight season with a new offensive coordinator. Avery Johnson didn't waver. He trusted the process. He stayed at Kansas State. Rumors running wild about Chris Klieman retiring from medical stuff. He didn't waver. He stayed at Kansas State. Do you start to get the picture? This kid understands what it means to be from the state of Kansas. He understands what it means to be a K-State fan, and he's going to do it his way. It's not going to be, okay, 2 years at K-State, then I'm going to Oregon for $5 million next year. Those opportunities, I guarantee were there for Avery. And a recent list was dropped. I don't know how official these things are. Nobody really knows with NIL money, but it listed Avery as a top 25 player in terms of NIL earnings in college football. I think he was the 3rd highest paid Big 12 quarterback behind Josh Hoover, kind of crazy, and Sam Leavitt, understandable, really, really good player. That stuff's all alleged, so I don't want to try to quote that. But the point of what I'm saying is, if Oregon's offering guys like Quinn Ewers $6 million, $7 million to come back to college football for one season, you know Avery Johnson's in the same boat. He's getting money opportunities left and right. He's one of the most dynamic players in college football. Everybody and their brother wanted him coming out of high school, and that hasn't changed since getting to K-State. 32 total touchdowns, breaks the single-season passing touchdowns record in his first year as a starter. Kid has not played much college football, gets out on the scene and understands, okay, this is my moment, let's run. Leads the team well. He's an incredible leader, an incredible football player, understands what it takes to be successful at this level, but he's doing it in the Sunflower State. He's not going to say, you know what, I'm going to go to Texas A&M. I'm not going to go to Oregon. I'm going to stay here right here at home and do it the right way. His impact, and there's more guys I'll talk about in the video as we go along, he's one of those dudes that we'll look back and say, this is a dude that elevated the brand of Kansas State. This is a guy that elevated Kansas State football to new heights. And I know you can look back and say Bill Snyder did everything. He was the instrumental guy. You can say Chris Klieman's taking the program to new heights. No one will dispute those facts, but you do remember specific players that say, okay, this guy carried the torch. Darren Sproles obviously goes to have an incredible NFL career. Tyler Lockett, Jordy Nelson. There's all these different dudes you can pinpoint and say, this dude was a culture-bearing dude that changed the narrative of Kansas State football. Now we're respected as one of the top 25 programs in college football. Nobody doubts that. Nobody questions that every single year. That's what the sustained success we've seen under Chris Klieman has done. That being said, when you start to win these recruiting battles of 4-star guys, of 5-star guys, of Lincoln Cures type dudes, beating out Oregon, beating out Texas A&M, beating out Penn State, these are schools that every single year get 5-star kids. Kansas State wins that battle. You win the Avery Johnson battle. You eventually win the Dylan Edwards battle. Obviously goes to Colorado, says, you know what? I need to come back home and do this the right way. These are guys that are elevating the brand of Kansas State. And the best part about what K-State football is, it's developing these under-recruited guys and turning them into stars. I'm sure you didn't miss it, but in case you did, at the NFL Scouting Combine, the 3 players we sent, DJ Giddens, Jacob Parrish, and Marquise Siegel, dominated their position group workouts. DJ had the best day of any running back in the field. Marquise Siegel, best day of any safety in the field. Jacob Parrish was a top 3 defensive back at his spot. The slowest 40 time you saw was a 4.43, which is blazing fast for DJ Giddens. Kansas State is a developmental program. But when you get guys that start out like Avery or guys that start off in this top 200 spot, look what their development could be. They can become the best player at their position in college football. You can do that with guys that have no stars, that guys have 6th grade stars of the joke, 5th grade stars of the joke. Or you can get to a point where you have guys that are genuine 5 stars like we see with Lincoln Cure. Think about what that development says about Kansas State as a program. It does not matter where you come from. If you want to show up and work, do this the right way, trust the process, you will get to the next level. And Avery Johnson is such a great example of that as a player. I mean, if I would have told you that Avery breaks a single-season passing touchdowns record in his first year as a starter, I think everybody would have freaked out about that. I mean, everybody knew that he was going to be incredible. Everybody knew he was going to be great. But we're at a realistic spot where we have the NIL funds to retain this kid. We have the team to develop this kid. Chris Kleiman just genuinely is the best coach in the Big 12. Everybody looks at him and says, you know what? Stability is there. They will not have less than 8 wins for the next decade. That's what Chris Kleiman's done. And it's such a crazy thing to look at. But with Avery Johnson, you understand his upside. He has the absolute ability to be a Heisman winner and be the best player in college football. His unique ability of throwing, passing, his explosion, is whatever you need to say about the kid, he has all of it. He has that intangible stuff where he just gets it. And it feels like he's really got the perfect pairing with Matt Wells this season. And I'm excited to see what the two come up with. But it's something to say that Avery, that Dylan, that, DJ, Jacob, all these different Kansas kids that come to K-State to be, whether they're a 3-star kid. Cooper Beebe's another example that's now one of the best guards in the NFL, or one of the best centers in the NFL at the moment. There's opportunities happening because kids come to Kansas State. Felix Anudike-Uzomah, first-round pick by the Kansas City Chiefs after back-to-back Super Bowls. It is a blessing to see that the best players in the state of Kansas are choosing to stay in the state of Kansas. They're not going to Tennessee. They're not going to Oregon or Nebraska or Oklahoma. They're staying home and doing it the right way. That's the stuff you love to see as a K-State fan. But guys, just wanted to make a quick overall video there saying that this kid's taken our program to new heights that we're all excited. We've all seen it, in our dreams. We've all seen the moments of what could happen. Avery Johnson sees it in reality. Chris Kleiman sees it in reality. And I can't wait to see this ragtag group of Kansas kids that are one time, just kids at 16 years old going to Friday night football games. Some dudes baling hay, some dudes hanging out in the city. There's so many different things you're doing, but you are building the program by the guys that love this state and understand what it means to be a Kansas State football player, and you have to tip your cap to that. Whether you're a K-State fan or not, it's incredibly respectable. Hats off to all the people that recruit this great state. Taylor Bratt, you are incredible. Absolute hero. That's pretty much going to do it for today's video. Just wanted to make a quick video talking about that. My plan, and we'll see if it works out in case, if I get hit by a bus, it won't work out. But as long as I'm still kicking, I'm going to try to go ahead and make a video every Monday through Friday this month. March is going to be a big month for us. We're going to talk a lot about the transfer portal. We'll talk a lot about football, basketball, everything that it means going into next season. It's going to be a fun time. So be sure and stick around and help us out. Get to that 3,000 subscriber mark here soon. I appreciate all the love and support I've gotten on the channel, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Go Cats.